every single agency is going to go through at some point in their journey. How do we automate this thing? Can this actually run without me?
And if you can do that, you'll scale to the moon, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever you want to do.
It sounds cheesy, but it really is life-changing. Like, it is possible to make $1 million a year plus. All right, hey there, and welcome back to the Modern Marketing Podcast, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Dave. How are you doing today, Dave?
Yeah, very well. Glad to be here for another podcast.
I'm excited, my man, because we were chatting before we hit record here about the topic for today, and it's a good one because this is something that every single agency is going to go through at some point in their journey, and it sort of brings you to this fork in the road of where you're going to be able to take your agency and scale it to whatever level you want, or is it going to put you in an early grave, which is what we would like to help you avoid. So I think essentially we'll figure out the exact title later because it's a bit ambiguous right now, but it's like how to scale without losing your mind, how to grow without being completely exhausted, how to build a sustainable, freedom providing, time and location, independent business that allows you to do what you want, where you want, when you want, and sort of the evolution that I think most agencies go through from when they're first starting to really when they hit that pivotal point of, am I going to grow this thing or am I going to quit and go to Starbucks or whatever it is?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think when you get to that point, like you get to the point where you're like the fork in the road, shall I grow it or shall I just keep it where it is? You're kind of overworked at that point anyway. So Sometimes you do lean towards just like staying where you are, and then you get like the agency burnout. But it's hard to make that decision in that moment. But if you kind of know what we're talking about now, then you can kind of start to put systems in place. You can hire correctly. And that doesn't mean you're overburdened with teams and staff and you've got huge costs, but if you're smart with it, you can really scale an agency and step out of it and still have a really profitable agency. Yeah,
right on. I think that's so who is this for? This lesson, this chat, I think the people that we're sort of keeping in mind are, you've got an agency and you're sitting at like 1 to 2 clients and you're trying to figure out, what does this thing look like at 10,000 a month, 20,000 a month, 50,000 a month, 100,000 a month? Like it seems like this weird idea of, I don't even know what that looks like. And I know because we get that question a lot inside the program. It's like, well, what does that even look like? What's $1 million agency? How's it run? Like, am I downtown New York in the high rise with like 8 million people? So that's one. I think the second one is if you're doing okay. So you could be, I don't know, 5,000, 10,000, even 20,000, but you're kind of like break even where every month is the same and you're working really hard. So you're putting in like a lot of hours and the thought of growing it seems insane because what's happening is you're equating growth with doubling your hours. So if you're doing, I don't know, let's say 10K a month for easy math, the thought of getting it to 20K a month to the logical brain is like, well, I'm going to have to work double the hours. And that stops you before you even get started. So I think that's that person right there. And then I think the third person is the one who's, no matter what stage your agency is at, and I think this could be for a beginner as well. It's probably more if you've already got a few clients, you'd be doing it for a while. But how do we automate this thing? What does this look like if I'm not even there? Like, can this actually run without me? Which I'm going to be fully honest, fully transparent, as always, Dave. We're going to get raw. I remember used to think that was insane and madness and possibly impossible. I thought it shows all my limiting beliefs when I first got started. I had so many limiting beliefs. I thought everything was impossible. I thought like a 7-figure agency was impossible. I thought removing myself from the day-to-day was impossible. I thought that I was actually the easiest belief for me to get over was the thought that I could do anything better than other people, because very quickly we realized that, well, there's a lot of very smart, talented people out there who have either a different risk tolerance than you do or a different skill set or desire. So often we put this quote unquote entrepreneurship thing on a pedestal, and we have to realize that not everybody is wired that way. In fact, very few people are. And if you can tap into or learn about other people's desires and drives and skill sets, you can make a very powerful team called intrapreneurs. Anyway, I digress. Thoughts there.
Yeah, I think the disbelief on, is it even possible? I think sometimes it's like you almost just have to do it. I remember taking like a 2 or 3 week vacation and in my agency, and I was like, well, I'll check my emails and I'll kind of dip in, but I'm going to pass this on to the team. And it's almost like I just did it and everything worked fine and nothing went wrong and they managed it. And I was like, oh, okay, it's actually possible. So sometimes if you start to build that team, I think we've got a reluctancy to kind of give tasks away or give the most important stuff away. And My belief in my agency was always, if I can get smarter people in my agency to do the work for me, then I'm in a great position. And that's when, definitely when I was hiring contractors, I was like, can I get the smartest guy as a contractor in that spot? So he can actually deliver a better service than I ever could do.
Yeah.
So then when I step out, I'm still delivering an amazing service. So I think that's how I approached it.
Yeah.
I kind of just ran on holiday and waited to see what would happen.
Yes. I like all of that. And I think so I'm writing some notes here as we go, because I don't want to lose my thought and take us on these crazy tangents.
We always go
But
down those.
the way we always do, we'll end up talking about like socks or manufacturing in China or whatever it is. So the way that I think about it, and one of the big mindset shifts that was really hard for me to wrap my head around, but one that's been instrumental in building like a life of freedom, is you want to look at yourself as less of the sort of day-to-day operator, or try to. In the early days, we're going to talk about all this. I wrote down the 3 kind of groups that we're going to cover here. But like in the early days, you have to do a lot of stuff, but eventually your goal is to become, and feel free to pick whichever metaphor or analogy you like here. I've thought of 2, one of which is the conductor at the front of the orchestra. So you got your brass and your woodwinds and your oboe section. I don't know what, music stuff.
You've been in a band?
Yeah, it's funny. I used to do it. Like I did band through school. I played a lot of instruments, as evidenced all
A
around.
long time ago.
It's been a long time. Trumpet, man. Played trumpet forever. And sax. I digress. So you've got all these people, and you have to have a general understanding of what they do and what it sounds like and how it should work, right? Like you can't have a conductor up there who's just like, I don't know, flat, sharp, fast, slow, whatever. I don't know. So you can't be that guy. Nobody goes to see that guy. But you can be the one who doesn't know every single tiny thing, and then you just guide them. You put them there, you make them there, you bring that up, you bring that down, you move that back, and you move it all around. The second analogy is like a chess master. So you think of like your kings and your queens and your rooks and your pawns and all of that on the board, and you're just going to move them into strategic locations. And the market could be your competitors, but like that's who you're playing against. So business really is a game. It's a strange game, but it's a fun game. And the beauty of things like business, opposed to say brain surgery or flying airplanes or anything like that, is that it's really not life and death. So as long as you're operating by a set of principles and you're operating ethically, morally, doing the right thing, and you believe in what you do, like the game is yours to go out there and sort of dominate. So that's been really helpful for me, is to try to get rid of that perfectionist control freak mentality of like, I have to do everything, and be like, no, there's good people in place, and my job is to help them do the best that they can so I can operate there. All right.
Yeah, and I think with that though, there's kind of 2 sides to the coin with it. Like I mentioned, obviously trying to hire someone that's smarter than you, which sometimes can be hard to do because they're expensive, or they might not be a contractor, they might already be employed. But sometimes kind of what happened in our business is like you hire someone, and we actually employed them, which we'll probably touch on whether it's contractors or employing. But what tends to happen is you give them that work and it comes back like 80%, 90% of what it should be. But that's okay, because then you can go in as the conductor and you can pull a few strings and you can improve a few things, and then you can deliver that to the client. But if you were having to do it yourself, you're doing all the work, whereas the person that you've employed or the contractor is doing 80, 90% of the work. So I think sometimes, I mean, me especially, and I know definitely for you, is like sometimes you don't want to let go of that task because you're like, I know I can do it better. But if that person can do a lot of the heavy lifting for you, then you're saving yourself a lot of time.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's an expression I like, which is 80% is good enough, which is absolutely 100% accurate. I think there's some other expressions there like done is better than perfect, and shipped is better than perfect. So shipped being like actually delivered to the marketplace. Yeah, like we just have to get it done. In business, we're paid for the results we deliver, not the amount of work and sweat and blood and tears that we put into actually achieving it. And there's this is something I battle with, is like, again, let's get raw here. Like the classic Protestant work ethic of like, I am only as valuable as I am when I'm like grinding my face off and working to death. And the problem with that is that you tend to deliver subpar results, inferior results, when you're tying that to like just literally how much I'm suffering. The first thing that I realize is that I can push through probably harder than anyone, but my creativity suffers, and then my output suffers. And then I'm literally just like pushing against a brick wall and making no progress at all. And the only person that's proud of me is me. I'm like, look at me, look how much I'm suffering. And everybody else around me is suffering as well, because they're getting a lesser version of me, My friends, my family, like everyone's just seeing this like really, really bad version of super burned out Adam. The second thing is that if you've got, I don't know, let's keep easy math. Let's say you're working like an 8-hour workday and you've got someone working like 80% of that. Well, they'll start putting in, say, 6 hours of decent quality work. So now you've just doubled or almost doubled your output. So it's like now you're getting like 14 hours a day of productive work, and you add another 6-hour person. Well, now 20 hours. Add another product. Now 26 hours. So this means in a 24-hour day, no, you don't. You can't just work 8 hours. You can actually work 24 hours or 240 hours, or like you can do a ridiculous amount of work by bringing in other people. And of course, we're going to talk about the right time to hire all this and all of that, which I think leads us perfectly. So I've got our 3 groups of people here, or 3 different stages, depending on where you're at. Number 1 is you're an agency with like 1 to 2 clients, 2 to 3 maybe. So I don't know, you're doing 1,000, 1,500, $3,000. It's kind of a side hustle. You want it to become the main thing, but you're not really sure. Second group is the group that's doing whatever number. It could be 5K, it could be 10K, it could be 50K, but you can't get ahead. So every month is like month to month. You feel like you're grinding. You're not really increasing profitability. You're not really growing. Every time feels like you have to go back to the drawing board and like reinvent everything. And then group number 3 is you want to remove yourself from the day-to-day. So, and for the record, this can actually happen at the very beginning stages of an agency as well. So you can build it from the beginning without ever having to do technically anything. It's probably both of our opinions that you should have some basic understanding, much like being a conductor is you need to know how everything goes. So there's a lot to be said about knowing how this business works and the model, but then extracting yourself from it. So shall we start? 1 to 2 clients. Where do we kick off, my friend? You got someone, they got 1 to 2 clients. It's a bit of a side hustle. They kind of want to make it their main thing and leave their job, but they're just like, where do I even start?
Yeah, so the first thing I think you want to look at is your costs. So you want to keep your costs like minimal, like keep them as low as possible, and then just start to get more and more clients. You need to get it to the level, and you can set that target of revenue in your head that it's no longer a side hustle. It's now your full-time job. You can draw a salary from it. You can eat, you can live, and it's now you've got 8 to 10 hours a day. And when you first start, yeah, you're probably going to push hard. You're going to be learning. You're going to be applying things. You're going to be doing outreach. But I think that's where I started. I just learned as much as I could, got as many clients as I could, tried to keep costs minimal. And it was just a one-man band. I was kind of a solopreneur, just kind of going out there and obviously trying to get more clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. And here's another thought as well. It's like we get this question of, well, when do I take my side hustle and actually prioritize it as the main thing? And I wish I could remember who I heard this from, but I thought it was super solid advice. So credit to someone other than me out there. But essentially, if you can get your side hustle to 25% of your required income, working on it part-time, then you're pretty much good to go. Again, this is not blanket advice. Take this, talk to your friends and family. Don't do anything crazy here. But like if you're making, I don't know, say you need, again, let's keep easy math. Say you need $4,000 a month to pay for food, rent, utilities, car, gas, and all that. And you've got a side hustle that you're working on for like an hour or 2 a day over here, and it's making $1,000 a month. So 25% of your required expenses. Odds are good statistically, and I would say from experience as well, like if you were to quit your job and go full time on that side hustle, you'll more than make up for it. Because again, like if you're able to make, 25% required in less than 25% of the time, you could theoretically just 4x that amount of time. And something else happens as well. It's not linear or incremental, it's exponential. So when you're putting all that time in, it just takes off. So yes, I think like Dave said, we want to keep our costs low. So this means we're probably going to be doing a lot of the work ourselves, unless we do have a profitable job that we're able to funnel in. And even then I'd still keep agency costs low, but I'd rephrase that in being like, we want to keep the useless costs low, and we want to invest where it actually matters, which is in making sure that we're doing proper client acquisition. So what is going to grow your agency faster than anything, and your freedom and your life, is the ability to generate clients and customers and sales on demand, like full stop. In fact, you look at any of the top agencies out there, all of us have one thing in common. It's just, we're just really good at getting new clients. And so therefore we've dialed in the offer and make sure we have a good funnel and sales process and all that. But mostly it kind of just comes down to figuring out a really good outreach system. How are we going to email? How are we going to DM? How are we going to create inbound marketing systems? What kind of content are we going to make? Because then the sky's the limit. So if we've got someone and they've got 1 to 2 clients, the systems I think I would want them automating first are probably life systems. So you've got to cut down on all the extraneous crap you're doing in your life outside of building your business. This is not a lifetime, long-term solution. But in the initial days, it's like if you're, I don't know, spending an hour a day stopping to get groceries on the way home. I don't know, maybe it's a busy grocery store. Like, can you not automate grocery pickup or something else? Cooking and cleaning. Can you like meal prep for the week? Laundry. Can you do it all on Sunday? Have everything laid out for the whole week? So it's just like, we're getting dressed and we're going. Childcare is a little bit different. If we're at that stage of your life, you got to work with your partner on that or figure something out. Mowing the lawn, doing these other things. What time are you going to bed? What time are you waking up? Like, there's all of these pockets of time that we can start allocating more towards the actual agency growth. And then when you are focused on the growth, man, you set that timer and you just like, you dominate for that time. RGAs, revenue generating activities, which is typically outreach. Because if you've got 1 or 2 clients, you should be trying to over deliver for them to get great testimonials and reviews and case studies. And then you should be leveraging that to try to get more clients as quickly as possible, because then it does create this flywheel where the more results that you have, the easier it is to get clients, the more you have, the more results that you get. And then it just sort of builds from there.
Yeah. I think we've covered stage 1 or person 1.
Stage 1, person 1, person 2 then. This is for the person who's at XYZ level, 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand, but you can't get ahead. So it's month to month. Maybe you get 2 new clients, but you lose 2 clients. Maybe you're doing all of this, but you're not really increasing profitability. I have so many thoughts for this person. So many thoughts. The first of which is, actually, I'm going to write some notes as well because I don't want to forget, but I don't want to lose my train of thought. The first of which is, much like person 1, client acquisition problem. Like, that's it. Like, we can solve most of our problems with sales at this stage. Now, you might be arguing. You might be, Adam, I'm already tapped. I'm totally strapped for time. I can't take on any more clients. My argument is money will solve that problem, because now we can start looking at what are we going to outsource? What are we going to delegate? What kind of contractors are we going to bring in? The reason that most people don't hire soon enough, in my experience, and Dave, you can back me up on this one if you believe it, is fear. There's scarcity and limitation, and the thought of hiring someone brings up, I can't afford to pay this one, by the way, which more clients will solve. Or I don't want to relinquish any kind of control because I don't know if they're going to do it, or I'm not going to be able to get help, or I don't want to afford that loss of money, or what if clients don't come back again? Again, more clients will solve all of those problems. So we've got to get clients. And then from there, now we can start to build out the matrix of 80-20ing everything. We talk about this a lot. What are the 20% of things that I'm doing that are making me 80% of the profits? Pretty much every marketing agency that we take a look at is doing way too many things for way too many different kinds of clients. So they're doing Facebook ads and Google ads and web design and landing page design and funnels and email marketing and content marketing. They're doing it for dentists and chiropractors and plumbers and online coaches and other marketing agencies and their friend who owns a pizza shop. And it's ridiculous. And the problem here is that not only are not all of those profitable, but only very few are profitable, and only very few would you actually want more of. So you've got to get clear on that. I'm not saying fire everybody that you have right now. Keep the lights on, pay your bills, but you've got to start being selective about what kind of people you're going after. And then once we've got that buffer, now we can start to delegate and remove all of the stuff that A, we hate, and B, we're not good at. That's basically how I scaled every agency. Is I start doing all of the things because that's what you do. Then you make a list of everything that you hate. For me, it has anything to do with like bookkeeping, too many analytics, anything too much technical stuff. I've got to get that off my plate, because not only do I hate it, I'm also not very good at it. So there's other people that can help. And then you get to focus in on what you're good at and go from there. That was a big rant there, Dave.
Yeah, a few key points that I think, I totally agree with you. But I think first one is you mentioned contractor. So like for me, the mistake I made was I employed too soon. And that actually added a bigger cost, because I'm over in the UK. So then you've got kind of taxes, pensions, and all these things that start to add up. So I should have just got contractor, because one, you can obviously go out and test a few. It's easy to kind of get them into the business. It's also easy to pause them or kind of cancel that contract if you don't need that work. And also you can kind of get specialists in that area, and they're just easier to work with, versus like, I know when I employed my first employee, it was like, hey, have you got anything for me today? And I was like, oh, not really. Whereas a contract is done like hourly. So it's a lot easier to manage their time. The second thing is, when you do get a contractor, like it's so, I can't explain like how good it feels when you actually buy back time. You get time back, and then you're like, oh, I've got this time back. So then my brain goes, well, I need to be doing RGA. So you've bought time back, and now you can go and get more clients, which just makes you even more profitable. And then you can look at like, okay, well, how many clients can that contractor serve? Let's say easy math, they can serve 10 clients. Well, now you could go and add on another 10 clients and another 10 clients and get more contractors. So you just start to be able to scale, and you get to buy time back, which is a great feeling, especially when if you've been grinding out in an agency for a while, like having a little bit of time and being able to breathe and get more creative and start to do more sales stuff is a great feeling.
Yeah, right on. So I've got thoughts on that one. The first of which is sort of a buildup of my last point. I wrote it down just so I didn't get sidetracked completely, and then I forgot it, which is like when you're scaling, there's this book called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz. It's a good book. I don't think you need to read it unless you're into that kind of thing. But he essentially employs the age-old premise of like pay yourself first. So what ends up happening is like just make sure that you're taking some kind of profit out of the business, because otherwise it's just too easy to just keep spending it on things, and then your business never really hits profitability. We can talk more about profit and scaling. Profit and revenue do not scale linearly. Again, there's a slight difference there. We'll talk about the contractor versus employee thing. Man, we get asked this all the time, and the answer is getting easier and easier for like most of the people, most of the time. And I would say like 99% of the people, 99% of the time, it's contractors. Employees, and for logistics, for tax purposes, for liabilities, for like all of these reasons, it's also normally, not always, but normally better for the contractor themselves, because now they're able to write off their business expenses and clothes and laptops and computers and cameras and all of these things that are a direct expense, which they can also get other benefit from. So yes, big fan of contractors. Also, yes, I hired probably too early, I think, in my... I shouldn't even say too early. I hired wrong too early first. Like everyone said I needed a virtual assistant, an administrative assistant. So I brought one on, and then every day was like, now what should I do? And I was like, I have no idea. Let's make some stuff. And it was just a useless waste of time. That said, in regards to buying back your time, there was a light bulb moment for me. I've told the story a number of times, but it's worth repeating here because it's one of those lessons that I think you have to experience for yourself to fully understand it. And it was the first SEO contract that I ever got. So I had a new potential client come to me and be like, hey, can you do SEO for my restaurant? And I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how to do SEO. So I immediately hit up Google, and I found another SEO agency that was local. I called them and I was like, hey, how much would you charge to do SEO? And they said they would charge $500 to optimize it all. This is back like a decade ago. I said, that sounds good. Hold that thought. I went back to the restaurant. I was like, it's $500 a month. And he said, in hindsight, I should have charged more, but we'll get to that later. I said, yes, sounds good. We agreed. I gave the SEO contractor $500 a month. They did all of the on-page SEO. The page started ranking. I saw what they were doing, realized it wasn't that complicated, bought myself about 30 days to learn the ins and outs. And then I took over that contract with an already well-ranking website. And then every month after that was the easiest work that I've ever done for $500. And then I sort of repeated that process. I think I did the next few all on my own, which I should have hired out again. But there's something magical that happens when you realize that you are sort of like an arbitrator, mediator, middle person. Like that's what an agent does. That's what an agency does, is we connect different parties. Like if we were a matchmaking agency, we would connect two people that want to fall in love. We wouldn't start dating each of them. Like that's not our job. Our job is to make the connection. Could you imagine? We're like, I have to go on 800 dates today. So it's like our job is to connect all of these different people. That's what we do. We connect a business owner with a customer. The business owner has a need for customers. The customer has a need for the business owner. We go out there and we facilitate that. And then we get paid very handsomely for making that, because it is such a valuable service.
I think that's like, we've spoken about it before as well. And it's like kind of a hybrid agency where, okay, you niche down. Let's say you work with, I don't know, roofers. We always use roofers. I don't know. We just love roofs, me and you.
We just love roofs.
Yeah,
It's so important.
they keep us
Integral
dry.
part of my house.
But and let's say you work with roofers and you're really good at Facebook ads and you're doing really well with it, but you don't know Google ads. And then that client comes to you and says, hey, can you do Google ads? Now, yeah, you could go out and learn it, but you could just go and kind of contract that out and add that service to already niche down agency. And then you could go and get a web developer that might do better websites and optimize websites, and then an SEO. And now you've actually got a kind of well-rounded agency that's niche down and just targeting roofers, but with several different offers that you can upsell to clients. So I really like, and to be honest, I learned this later on in my agency. I wish I'd learned it sooner, because I still do it to this day. Like people ask me, hey, can you build a website? I hate building websites. I've not got the time to build websites, but I'll just add on a service fee and be like a broker, an agency, and just send that out and say, hey, can you build this? This is the client. This is the how much do you want? He'll give me a price, and then I'll go and add on a broker fee. And I'm like, that was the easiest 400
Yeah.
bucks I've ever made, because I'm just, I'm just
Yes.
adding and connecting the dots. So I really like that type of agency, because I feel like a lot of people feel like they have to know everything, learn it. And it takes time to learn SEO. It takes time to learn Facebook ads and Google ads. But if you can get experts in, then you're going to get fast results. And then you can just, all you need to do then is actually, and we say this a lot, is actually arguably do the hardest thing in agency, which is go and get clients, do RGA. That's where I see a
Yeah.
lot of agencies
Yeah.
fall short. They're not good at getting new clients. And if you can do that, you'll scale to the moon. Like we said, 6 figures, 7 figures, 8 figures, whatever you want to do.
Yeah. Oh, Dave, I'm so glad you brought that back around, because as you were saying that, I just kept thinking, I was like, yes, it's people get this confused. They think the hard part of running the agency is doing the work, like doing the Google ads, doing the Facebook ads, doing the website design and all of that. And that's why everyone stays stuck. Like that is the biggest, oh, there's so many myths, but like that is one of the biggest myths in the agency space is like, well, I can't start a marketing agency because I'm not good at Facebook ads and Google ads and SEO and content marketing and email marketing and funnels and this and this and this. That is, I don't want to say it's not important. It is important. You've got to be able to deliver the goods, but other people can do that for you. Where the money is made in the agency space is client acquisition. If you are the one that has the skills and the systems to go out there and get clients on demand, you write your own ticket, full stop. Like your life is set. In fact, there was a point many years ago where I had a conversation with my wife and we're sitting down and I was like, you know what's cool? I was like, there's never going to be a spot in our lives where we'll make less than $1 million a year. Like it just, we've crossed this point where it'll never happen because we've got this skill that allows us to go out there and generate an unlimited amount of clients in any kind of market, because the principles are universal. The reason we pick a niche is it makes it easier and faster to scale, but there's even arguments against that one. Like once you have that skill, you can do anything that you want. And then people come to you, because imagine just for a second, you've got a contractor out there who's the world's best website designer. Maybe not the world's best, world's second best. First best always gets the clients. World's second best website designer. They probably don't have the ability to generate a consistent, predictable supply of leads for their business, which means if you can come along and offer them that predictability, that consistency, that payday, they will love you. They will be all about that. In fact, I learned this the hard way early on in my agency career, where I was doing a lot of the work for other agencies, until I realized like, hey, wait a second, they're making all of the money because they're bringing in all of the leads. And a lot of people think, well, it's like, okay, that's fine. I'll just keep relying on them. It's like, but that's a short-term play. Like you want to go, yeah, you want to take it all. Okay.
Yeah, I think usually the best kind of, like you said, designers, contractors, Facebook ads guys. Yeah, okay, some of them will be employed by big companies, but actually usually the best ones do struggle to get the clients because they're so good. They've honed their craft. They're constantly learning. They're constantly, in courses and doing things, but they're not doing the RGAs. And I think that's a key thing. But I think when you start an agency or you're building your agency, you're at 5 or 6 grand. There's 2 elements to it. There's part of it is you want to learn it and you want to understand it. I know that's me and you. Like I'm like, I can't deliver this service if I don't understand it. And I actually enjoy it. I want to understand it. I want to learn it. And 2, it's like almost like imposter syndrome kicks in where you feel like you have to do it. You have to learn that.
Yeah.
And that's what can get people stuck sometimes. But you only really need the basics again, because the clients you're acquiring probably know nothing. Like if you go and speak to a client on SEO, they're like, I don't even know what you're talking about. So you just need the basics to be able to talk them through it, and you'll learn as you go. And then you can get a contractor in who's just going to absolutely smash it out of the park, get your clients results. And I think, it's just such a great combination. I wish I knew this sooner as well, because I would have crushed it in the agency if I knew that.
Would have been
I
so
could
much
just
faster.
go and get clients, and then even now, like I said, there's guys coming through from my agency, just like, hey, can you do this? And I'm like, I'm not going to do it, but I just get a contractor, and it's such a good model.
Yeah, no, it's really is the answer, and I think actually that'll lead us perfectly into the final person, which is want to remove themselves from the day to day. Before we touch on that, though, I do want to hit that point, which is the clients just don't care what you do or how you do it, or even why you do it. The only thing they care about is the results that you're able to deliver, and they don't care if Adam does it, or Dave does it, or Steve does it, or Clara does it, or Christine does it, or John does it. They don't care. They just want the result. Oh man, it's funny. It's such a hot point because I think I fought it for so long, and it was probably just out of ego, being like, well, no, I'm the best marketer and I can do it better and I can find the right thing. And the agency did well. I'm not gonna lie. Agencies did just fine with me doing all of the work themselves, but they didn't do phenomenal. They didn't do like rich guy well. And there's a difference, right? Between like, all right, we're living a very comfortable life and making the salary of a dentist and a doctor and a lawyer or whatever, but I'm working a lot, versus like multimillionaire retire whenever you want kind of money. And the difference there is like, you just can't do all of the work yourself because we are going to have to deliver results, bigger results for a better kind of client in a larger scale in order to sort of hit that next level, which group three, third kind of person, you've got an agency. I don't even know if we need to put a dollar amount on this. I'm going to say like maybe around 5, 10 on the low end, 20 to 30 average, 50 to 100 high end. And you want to remove yourself from the day-to-day running of this agency. You saw some of my posts from Malta and Spain and Italy and Portugal and England. You're like, I want to do that. I want to go on that trip, which for the record, would have thought was impossible years ago. And then we went and we'll take a couple months off whenever we choose. And it's literally just because the systems are in place. There's people that are able to do the things. We've understood what it actually takes to build a successful agency and kick to the throat a little bit and ego destruction. But the thing that it takes is not me. That's it. Like, I wish it'd be really nice to feel like loved and needed and wanted from my business. But I mean, like, that's what friends and family and dogs are. What's that expression? Like, if you want love, get a dog.
Yeah. You can pat yourself on the back though, because you put the systems in place and you got all the clients and, you know, you've set that to be able to go and do that. So yeah, I think, ego aside, like you have built that machine and it is nice. It's scary, but yeah, you could step away.
Yeah,
I'm
I think,
pretty
the
sure
machine,
you checked your emails a few times.
yeah, exactly.
Dipped in.
Yeah, I think, but what's cool about that system though is like, yeah, sure, there was definitely work that went into it and a lot of learning from other smart people. But now like the system it's copy and paste. Like for those inside the program, they see what's involved and they see what it looks like and what the steps are. And it's not rocket science. Like it's proven, repeatable, scalable systems and processes that allow you to extract yourself from the day to day. So I appreciate that's really broad. So where do we even start? You've got someone, they're overwhelmed. You're doing all this stuff and you're like, I got to get out of here. Number one is we've got to 80-20 this thing again. Like we've got to figure out what are the 20% of things that you're doing that are giving you 80% of your revenues. Odds are good, especially the larger the agency, the more apparent this is. Odds are good is coming from like one specific area with one specific problem and solution. It's the thing that you like. It's the thing you get the best results for. It's the thing you enjoy doing. It's the thing you're kind of known for. And then you've got all this other extraneous crap that just got bolted onto your agency over the years because you felt like you had to or someone asked for it. And that's got to go. Doesn't mean we have to kill it immediately, but I would argue in many cases it makes sense to just kill it immediately. More so what it requires is focus on the thing that is actually driving all of the revenue and sales. So we 80-20 the offers. We 80-20 the clients, same thing. Who are the top 20% of clients that are delivering 80% of the revenues? What do they like? What's their demographic, age, gender, income, occupation, geographic, where do they live, psychographic, what is the problem that we're solving for them? Why are they going through this? And again, there's going to be trends. There's going to be patterns. And then we focus in on them. And if we can do it again, well, what you find is like you can cut your workday down. And this is going to sound, again, completely insane, but like that's the 80-20 principle for us. We get rid of 80% of the stuff. We get rid of like 6 hours of our day. The bigger, harder question is, what are you going to do with that extra time? Honestly, that is the hard question because you've probably associated, at least I did, you associate your identity with like working really hard. And when you realize you don't have to, you're going to want to get dirty again and start sticking your nose in other people's business and like, let me fix that for you. Let me do that. And that's not the thing. The thing is, how do I go get more of these amazing clients? And then once you've got that, that brings in cash flow. Now your profits go up because you're not doing all this other nonsense. And now you can start bringing in actual talented, intelligent people to start running some of the operations for you. And again, this is where we make a list. What are the things I hate? What are the things I'm not good at? What are the things I wish I could do more of? And you start slowly removing those to ideally you end up at this spot where you're just operating in this one area that you love. It's all you want to do. You get the best results. Everything else is taken care of. You're free to come and go as you please. I'll put a pin in there for a second.
Yeah, I think the key part here is, and this is where it really comes down to niching down, because when you want to create that system, if you don't have a niche, like it can all fall apart. Because
Yeah.
again, if you've got contractors in, they need to know like what is the client, have they done it before, is it repeatable, and what's the process. Whereas if you bring on a new client, you then have to get involved, or sorry, a new client in a different niche, you then have to get involved and start saying, oh, okay, well, we're doing this, but it's a different demographic and it's this and it's that. You don't want that when you're scaling. You want to step out and you want to be like, okay, same client, it's a roofer. Same as we did last week. It's
Yeah.
SEO, it's this, it's this, and they can just rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. And that's the key. I think when we first start, like we said, take on anyone, do anything if you want to, and just to get revenue. But once you're
Yeah.
scaling, it's so key to have that niche down, because you can create those repeatable systems and the team can just sing to that tune and do that work for you.
Yeah, yeah. We call that so that I think the fancy marketing term for that is like productized services. And so what this is it's a service that is not custom. We can make it appear custom and personalized really easily. But it means that we're not going out there. We're never creating like proposals. Here's the thing. Here's an RFP. Here's all this stuff that we're going to do. It's like, no, we do this kind of thing for this kind of person that gets this kind of result. And the beauty of that, like Dave said, first of all, it allows you to simplify. So you don't have to go out there all the time and be like, well, how would I do this for a bakery? Or how would I do this in this place? Or how would I do it for this kind of offer? Which by the way, just it's a huge amount of work, and it's not going to make you any more money. You also lose some of that perceived authority and expert status, but you're just not able to replicate it time and time again. Like we have these proven systems now where we just go in and we just plug and play. So it's like, and the clients love it because again, they don't care. They want results. So as again, hypothetical situation, you've got a client trying to choose between two different agencies, one of which, and let's go HVAC this time instead of roofers. So
Okay.
you've got spicing it up. Plumbers, I was going to go with. I was like, I think we've talked too much of that. HVAC. So you've got this HVAC company is trying to decide between two different agencies, one of which is a boutique custom. I will drive to your house. I will map out an entire custom marketing strategy for you. We'll design everything from the ground. It's going to be the most interactive, engaging experience you've ever had, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't know, whatever. They're going to have to be a lot more expensive, obviously, because of all the work involved. So let's say $10,000 a month. Option B, we are the world's leading HVAC lead generating source for HVAC companies in, I don't know, California or whatever it is. We provide this. Here's all the testimonials of all of the HVAC people, clients that we've worked with before. Here's all the results that we've gotten. Here's all the proof and the screenshots and the testimonials and the case studies. Oh, and by the way, we're $2,000 a month and we guarantee it. And we have this and we have that and we have the other, all for HVAC. Like, we'd like to think that we want the custom, we want the personalized. They don't care. They want the result. And they want the result in a way that is going to mitigate and eliminate risk for them. And the way that we can help eliminate risk for a client is by showing them what we've done before. Again, this is why if you're just getting started, that's fine. There's other ways to get case studies and results and testimonials. You can build them up very quickly. I think one of the biggest excuses people have is like, well, I don't have any case studies. I don't have any results. We can go get them. There's a business out there that is willing to let you consult with them and offer them some tips in exchange for a testimonial. Like full stop. You don't have to run a 6-month marketing campaign. You can look at some of their stuff, have a 5-minute conversation with them, provide some suggestions on some keywords you found or a social media strategy for Instagram. And they'll be like, wow, that was fantastic. They really helped my business. And now you've got a testimonial. So I think that's it.
Yeah, I think we've wrapped up there and lots of really key points in there. But yeah, I think for me, it's the contracting thing is huge. I think getting smart people in as contractors can just free your time up. And then you can go off and do those RGAs and get more clients. And again, the profit, obviously, you want to monitor your costs and your profit. You don't want to hire too many people and not be able to deliver that work. So again, me and you always go old school, pen and paper, just put down kind of, okay, how many clients does that contractor need to be profitable? And then how many clients can he actually take or can they take? And then just start to map it out and have a bit of a plan and start obviously going and bringing on more clients. And yeah, it starts to get fun. Like,
Yeah.
you know, it is a big game and it can be very, very, very profitable and you don't have to do all the work. That's the key thing. I think
Yeah.
when I first started the agency, you know, within a year, I wanted to pull my eyeballs out for
Yeah.
being an ads manager so much. And then I realized I'll just hire someone to do this. And that was just
Yeah.
like such a relief. And then I started to enjoy it again. You get that new energy and you start scaling and then you hit new numbers. And you're like, oh, this is fun. This is like,
Yeah.
now you start to kind of move the pieces on the chessboard and start to kind of create that agency you want. Because everyone wants different types of agencies. You might
Yeah.
be that person that wants to work all the time and do it and be still part of it. And that's okay. But you might want to step out, and all of those things are possible. You've just got to kind of make those moves and set those strategic positions of hires and bringing people into the agency.
Yeah. Yeah. I think also with the contractors is that as you're mapping it out, realize that because we're hiring contractors and outsourcers and freelancers and that, like we can allocate a certain percentage of the revenue to them, and we don't necessarily have to forecast out that much because we're not bringing them on as a full-time capacity saying we're going to give you 5K a month or 10K a month or 1K a month or whatever it is. It's like, look, we're going to charge a client $2,000 for this. We're going to pay the contractor $200 to $400. And then if we need more, we're going to pay them that. We need more, we're going to pay them that. And we just bring them on a contract basis. Also, yes, there is a point where it does become really fun. And I think keeping that in mind as you're working towards this goal, it is, again, I don't know about you, Dave, but like literally every day I wake up and I'm still kind of gobsmacked that this is a thing that exists where it's like we can work from a laptop from anywhere in the world, make money with words and moving things around, not have a boss, not have a schedule that you have to do, and like just get to do whatever you want. And I don't want to say like money solves all problems, but it kind of solves most. And like every horrible thing that has ever happened, maybe not everyone, but like so many of the horrible things in my life could have been cured by just having more money. So it's like taking a job I didn't want to take, moving somewhere I didn't want to go, working something I didn't want to be in, getting stuck somewhere I didn't want to be. All of those situations, like if I could have written a big enough check, would have removed it from me. Even health issues, getting access to better healthcare or better medicine or traveling, like everything could have been solved with more money. So I think in the times where you're fighting through this and you're struggling of like, I'm stuck, I only have 2 clients, or I can't get out of this, I want to scale, just remind yourself that that light at the end of the tunnel, that pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, like, it sounds cheesy, but it really is life-changing and powerful and worth fighting for, because so many people give up on their dreams and then just go back to doing whatever. But I think it's important to remind yourself that all of the struggles you're going through, everyone's gone through before. Good for you for being here, watching this, listening to this, going through this kind of stuff, because it means you're going to expedite your results so much faster. Again, learn from our mistakes. And yeah, it really can be as good as you ever dreamed it was, and even better.
Yeah, I mean, this online world, it makes me laugh because I don't know about you, but I talk to people all the time and like, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I work online, I'm a consultant, I run an agency, and they're like, is that a thing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So many people just don't like know that like that's actually a job and that's what
Yeah.
I do. And like even the postman today was like, oh, what do you do? And he was like,
Yes.
oh wow, that's a funny job. I'm like, what?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny because we live in this like echo chamber where we see it all the time and we live it and breathe it,
Yeah.
and it looks so normal. But I think another perspective is like it is possible, and again, we can show you the steps. We've got the program and the courses and the videos and free content on that. Like it is possible to make $1 million a year plus with an agency. And if you remove yourself from our crazy world, that is not a thing. It is not a thing where there are random people that you went to school with that are pulling in multiple millions of dollars a year from any other business. Like it is just not a real thing, which again is so strange. And I think we're just living in probably the best time ever to be kind of in this world and in this business. So, all right, that's all I got, brother.
Yeah, awesome. Enjoyed that. Hope everyone enjoyed it as well. So yeah, we'll see you next time for another podcast.
Sounds good. We'll see you in a bit.
See ya.